welcome to yet another episode of Better Habits. And, today we have another coach of ours, habit coach from Coachdotme, Karine. Karine, welcome. Hello. Why don't you introduce yourself and just say a few words briefly about, who you are, what you do, what you help with.
Okay, well, hello, Lydia. Thank you for having me. A few words. Well, I don't know how much time we have because, I've been around for a while now, and my journey has not been a straight line. So I graduated in cinema. So that was the first thing I did was directing documentaries. So I did that until I had my son. And then I decided that I wanted to be more available to him. So I taught film production at the university, and I also work with children on the spectrum. I created an improv class for them in a special education facility. So I did that. I did a few other jobs, like I imported jewelry, costume jewelry from China.
Wow, I was a ghost. This is random.
Oh yeah, it was an opportunity, and I was the only one around that spoke English. That's why I was asked to do that. So I was a ghostwriter for a while, and then I did work a lot as an administrative assistant. And in 2016, I was working as a executive assistant for a nonprofit that worked with people and helped them to turn their lives around and get back on their feet. And that's when I got the opportunity to be trained as a coach. And it was an aha moment for me. I said, wow, that's really what I want to do now. And so I loved it so much that a year after that, I created my own company, and I've been coaching ever since.
All right.
So it seems random, but to me, actually, the coaching is pretty close to directing documentaries, because you have to make people really comfortable to share about themselves, and at the end, it gives them the opportunity to see themselves differently and have a different perspective on their journey. So, there's a common thread. Yeah.
Interesting. It's interesting, and I want to get into the nitty-gritty of habits for our listeners. But we usually, when we talk with coaches, it's just they tell about their story, and I think it's fascinating, and your story is fascinating, and it's interesting. But in the end, I love how coaches try to blend their previous experience, their previous education into and becoming, very unique. That's what's unique. Every coach is unique. Even if they coach the same habit, it will be absolutely different because of personality, because of style, and because of that experience and different education and background. So this is interesting. And just the fun fact, I love movies, and I had this love for a long time. And at some point, I even took some of the cinema therapy courses, because they do use movies in therapy. And I took the course to see how you can use it. And I try whenever I can use movie example and movie in my coaching, because I think
do too.
Exactly. So we have something in common. All right. Well, jumping back to the kind of habits and habit coaching, why habit coaching? I have this on my list of prepared questions.
Yes.
Why habit coaching?
I know. So the first, I'm trying to remember how I got to Coachdotme. It's through a friend of mine. We were part of the same online community, and he was already, and he still is, a coach on Coachdotme. So I was already coaching, but he told me, I'm working with this platform and you might enjoy it. So I didn't know anything about digital coaching, because I was doing in person and I was doing video coaching. So that was new to me. So, and I'm always excited by new things. So I took the digital coaching certification, And it turns out that it is a super useful tool for people. And focusing on habits is really interesting. It's a different way of doing the work, because sometimes people are overwhelmed and they just, I want a better life. Okay, but what can you do specifically? So that's very interesting. And at first I was working with people who needed to balance their personal and professional life. And I noticed the common thread. And the common thread, most of them, if not all of them, they were struggling with sleep issues and excessive screen time. So I did my research, and I educated myself on these topics. And so I started coaching habits around screen time management and sleep. And I came up with this one habit, which is no screens after 10 p.m.
Which Mary did too.
Yes. And usually people hire me for that, but it goes a long way, because of course there's not only one.
This is the starting point. This is just the starting point.
Exactly. So that's when I got into
all right. No, it's I mean, you're absolutely right. If you ask me, and I've been working on my sleep for a long time, but maybe you see my my eyes. I didn't get enough sleep, or not enough. I didn't get enough quality sleep, because I monitored with my Aura ring, and it told me the quality was not good, and I feel it, and I see it in my face. So sleep is still kind of the basis of everything, and how we feel, that's why we have our Better Daily program that we started this year. We started with sleep because I believe it's foundation, and hopefully you believe in, and many other experts these days say everywhere that sleep is a foundation of your health, of your well-being, of your mood, pretty much everything, right? So this is like the starting point. And then actually the screens, watching the screens is also a problem. For me, I have to admit, when I look at my screen time on my phone, sometimes I'm like, oh my God, it can be true, but it is true. Everything, like for me, everything is on screen. My work is on screen, my hobbies are on screen. Like if you want to draw something, my sport is on screen, my friends are on screen because they're not where I live. And I'm like, well, how do I get less of screen time? And maybe that's a good question to start with. I have a lot of other questions, but I try to balance, but everything, I don't say 100%, but like 80% of my life is in these devices: screen, hobby, sport, friends. How do I balance it?
I know, and we're all like that. Don't worry. So, and first of all, you're right. I usually say no sleep, no life. Simple as that. I mean, if you don't sleep well, you have a shitty day. So
you can disregard everything else. If your sleep is not good, you can, and you're working on something, you need to leave it and go back and first work on your sleep.
Yeah. So about screens, it's like everything in coaching. I think you have to start small. And that's why I try to combine sleep and screens by, reducing and then turning off screens in the evening, because it's not big. I mean, it's not going to solve everything in your life. But if you start to just, turn your phone off consciously at night, it's a start. And it's not that easy. Most people, almost everybody, but most people cannot turn that phone
sleep with the phone off. I do that.
Yeah.
That's not me, that's Zoom. It has to be this. I sometimes sleep. I notice myself sleeping with my phone just almost in my hand.
Yeah. So that's a first step, being aware that it would change your life if you turn your screens off at night.
Yeah.
So you can decide on the time. My program is 10, but it has to be custom to everyone's need and family obligations, obviously. But yes, put the phone down and say, after 10 o'clock,
no screen.
I'm not available for anyone. Because that's the problem. We with the smartphones, we think we have to comply to other people's need all the time. And at the end of the day, all I need is to sleep. It's just that. So, but it's not easy.
Dig in. It's not easy, and let's dig in because exactly last week our keystone habit for the program, and I say last week because we started kind of sequence, but if you join that program today, you will get to that habit in a few weeks. But last week live was actually this habit to turn your screen off, to put it away, preferably in another room. About minimum 60 minutes before you go to bed. And then my question was, like I told you, my whole life is there. Now I trained myself not to look at the chats, not to look at the email in the evening, so not do my work unless it's something super urgent, and then I do it on my desktop, not on my phone. But I still I realize I still use my phone for entertainment, Netflix or listening to something. So there needs to be an alternative. So maybe you can share, and I did put some in, I can share mine, what I came up with, but what is the alternative? Because it's not just work, people can be very mindful of turning off work. And, I spend a lot of time to train myself, just not do it. And now I don't have the impulse, even the impulse I know that's for the morning and for many reasons, not just the screen, but honestly for the stress management. Because I know my evenings have to be distressed. I need to relax. I need to rest to be able to get the good quality sleep. What people don't realize, they need to rest before they go to sleep, not during their sleep.
Yes, exactly. That's what I was about to tell you, is that people, most of the time, they don't realize that the body and the brain need to be aware that we are going to sleep. They need clues, they need heads up. And it comes in different forms. So it comes with fasting. The body needs to stop having food ingested a few hours before bed. Otherwise, the body thinks, oh, okay, this person is still going, so it needs food, So the lights needs to be dimmed, because the light exposure is one of the big factors that keep us awake. And that's one of the problems with the screens, that we keep getting these flashes of light every 3 seconds, and so the brain is confused. It says, okay, it seems to be dark, but we keep getting some flashes of light, so is it really time for us to sleep? So about Netflix, you said, I'm a big Netflix fan, but I don't have it on my computer. I don't have it on my smartphone. It's on the TV. Because when you're on your couch, it's still a screen, yes, but it's completely different. You're in a relaxed position on the couch, so the body is actually already relaxing. It's far away from you. You don't have any physical interaction with the screen, which makes a big difference. And we can drift into dreamland when watching TV. This is a possibility. So this is a way of still getting your entertainment, because why not? But at the same time, not being physically engaged with the screen, because that's where TikTok is
Oh no. The short format media is just it's just evil. I
It,
think it's pure
no,
evil
it really is, and especially,
in the
sleep-wise.
evening. Yeah.
Yeah, please don't do that, please, because
Okay. Well,
not
let's
only, yeah,
yeah,
sure, go
sorry.
ahead.
Yeah, sorry to interrupt you, but I just want to get into kind of practical suggestion. I love that. Yeah, we do watch. We have kind of movie night. Usually it's just Friday and Saturday, and we sit with my husband and we watch, a movie or two series from the shows. And I think that's an excellent advice. But on the weekday, obviously it doesn't really fit in. So I um so I tried last week, because I'm trying to go with the recommendation I give to other people throughout Better Habits, Better Daily Habits. Otherwise, it doesn't make sense. So I put my screen and I said, well, reading. I've been wanting to do more fiction reading, or memoir, reading for the sake of kind of either entertainment or just learning something, not the professional type of reading in the evening, because that would make my brain go like on
Yep.
a high speed and I wouldn't be able to
Yes.
sleep. So something calm. It could be even the fun reading, whatever your preference is. But I think it's still like the difference that I notice is just immense. Well, I do use my reader, but I believe it doesn't have the same screen kind of impact. It's a little bit, and you can
It's good.
it's okay, I think, and you can adjust the brightness to the very kind of modest. But when you read, even if it is like I'm reading detective stories, I love detective stories, watching and reading. But even though the excitement that you get, I just want to share that experience. I did it for 1 week. The excitement is just completely different from the excitement when you watch that detective story on
Yes,
Netflix. Now the screen
exactly.
is small if you watch it on your phone, but even on the big screen, because the experience, and you are the best expert in that, the experience you get because of the music, because of the
Yes.
effects, because of it's kind of the
The
real life,
narration, yeah, yes.
the
Yeah,
immersiveness of the experience. When I read the story, even though it's exciting and I want to know who is the murderer, and I still get a little bit excitement, but the difference in excitement is like so much. And one thing I noticed, I want to share with listeners, when you on your screens, whatever you do, whatever you watch, whatever you listen, you do not notice the focus is so much there, the excitement is so much there, you don't notice how tired you are, because you don't, like, you're so
yeah,
disconnected from your body. Now when you read, sometimes I fall asleep like in 5 minutes, because
exactly.
I
Yes.
realize how tired I am. So
Yeah.
would like your comments on that. And anything else, like reading, I think this is one of the greatest things you can do in the evening. Anything else they can do, and comment on that, why screens are so bad, and how they actually not helping us to prepare for good night's sleep.
Yeah, well, screens aren't bad, per se. Screens are screens. They're just devices.
Yeah.
It's what we do with them, and the fact that we think we cannot live with them, even in the evening, even if we can. Well, I would, take a larger picture. I think it's super helpful to have an evening routine, a bedtime routine. So this could include reading, but to have like a 5, 10, 20 minutes series of actions that you're going to do in the same order every night, and that is going to be the cue for your brain and your body to say, oh, this person, they're going to bed. So it could be very simple things like, brushing your teeth, taking the dog out, stretching, reading, anything that you can do anywhere, because that's also, that you can keep when you're traveling. Anything that you can do repeatedly every single night. And that is super helpful. If you cannot do anything else, at least do that. Have this habit of the evening routine, because it really helps. And even consciously, you say, okay, I'm starting the routine, so I'm really winding down. And it's just not, oh, okay, yes, I have to unload the dishwasher. And oh, yeah, I forgot the kids' stuff. Oh, because, this is not, you cannot drift into sleep mode if you're doing 100 things. It's super important that we understand that sleep is our priority at night. That it's really so crucial.
Yeah.
It's and nobody else needs us. And we have to define emergencies, because that's one of the first, I would say, excuses. People tell me, yes, but I have to leave my phone on, because what if my parents need me, or because they're older, or my children. Okay, so I say, yeah, what if? What can you do? If you live very close by, maybe so, but if you live like 100 miles away, I mean,
and you can set it up. And I have my parents live far away. My kids are around the globe, actually, and I do worry about them.
Of course.
But you can set it up.
Yes, this is easy. Like, you can say, if this person calls me twice, it needs to ring. Even if the phone is on plane mode.
That is possible.
Yes, you can do anything with your devices that gives you a peace of mind that if my kids needs me, I'm there. But if they don't, I'm not available for anybody else. This is it.
Yeah.
Because I need my sleep. Mama needs sleep. It's important. I mean, and that's why I also often suggest that people have a sleep conversation within the family, because it's everybody's business. If one person in the family does not sleep well, it affects everybody, because they're going to be cranky. They're going to be, in a bad mood. They're going to be exhausted. They won't have any patience for anything. It's really everybody's business. So that's why it's one of the things that it's interesting.
I love it. Some time ago, I learned about money date, having a regular, normally weekly, a money date with your husband to discuss your finances. For some people, it's stressful. Like, we didn't have that routine, and at some point, when money was an issue in our family, I kind of learned about it, and I said, wow, this is a very cool thing. When you meet, yes, sometimes it becomes a difficult conversation, but eventually this is how you become closer. That's how you kind of have, through these difficult conversations, you actually align your values, your actions, your plans, your future. And I think this, I love this idea that you have to have a sleep conversation. Now, I tell you, we have an argument in our family. So when I started this Better Daily thing, we started exactly like you said, dim or turn off overhead bright lights about 60 to 90 minutes kind of before bedtime, around the time kind of it becomes dark. So I was starting doing that, and my husband complains. He said, I cannot see anything, and he just goes and turns everything on. So now I know I need to have that sleep conversation with him. Maybe any suggestion on that? Because we debate. I even went to IKEA to buy the floor lamps with very warm light bulbs.
Yeah, that's good.
Nowadays we can do that. We can buy warmer light, and I put a few. So but it's still, it's still very different from your overhead light. And I still get complaints from my husband that he doesn't see a thing in
Yeah,
the evening. And it's not
that's the
like
point.
it's not a big debate, right? But at some point I said, I will be living somewhere else.
Yeah,
So any
yeah, that's one of the
suggestion?
things.
Any suggestion?
Yes, you can talk about all the external factors that can affect your sleep, the sleep environment. So it could be the bedroom. I mean, is there too much light? Is there too much humidity? Is it too hot? And we can have different preferences. We're in a relationship, so it's an adjustment.
Yeah.
When was the last time you changed your mattress? When was the last time you changed your pillow? Is there anything that makes you physically uncomfortable? And how can you fix that? Then is your partner waking you up at night because they're kicking, or they're
Or
moving too much,
snoring.
or snoring? That's a big one.
Mhm.
The
So
kids can.
what's the solution? All of
Well,
this is true. And I know, like, my mom and my dad have very different preference in terms of the temperature, for example.
no,
Now,
that's
me and
awful.
my husband, we have very different preference in terms of the illumination at night. And I'm like, no. How do you solve? What are some of the solutions?
Well, compromise and
Oh,
come up with a solution. Compromise or come up with a solution that's, some people you end up living, sleeping in different bedrooms
yeah,
because they really cannot compromise. Well, why not? I mean, it's everybody has to find their own solution. As a coach, you'll enable the conversation, but you can make suggestions. But at the end of the day, people make their own
sure.
adjustments. But it is super important that the partner understands that. I mean, you're suffering if you're not sleeping. It's serious. It's so that's where the conversation, and sometimes it's good to have the conversation with the children if they're old enough, because they need to understand that, no, you don't show up in the bedroom for nothing. I'm sleeping at night. So unless there's blood or no, you let me sleep.
Yeah.
So that's where the conversation is super useful.
Okay. So, start the conversation. I guess we'll land on that at the moment. And we have this conversation, these conversations, multiple. It might not take one. And again,
Oh no.
I invite listeners or watchers actually to use it as an opportunity. As I told you, my example with the money date, first I was dreading, I have to discuss money with my husband. It's like, there will be tension. Yes, there will be tension. But through this difficult conversation about money, about sleep, about your feelings and how you feel now, I think it's important to mention in all of those conversations, you need to start with I statement, the same way you talk to your children, say you're wrong, you turn off the light, you turn on all of the light, you open the window so it's too cold. No, you start with you, like you said, you suffering, your sleep is suffering, and then you try to meet someone, and you can come up with creative solutions that are often not kind of common solution. There is never, I have to agree with you, there is never a common solution that works from everyone.
No. And it's going to lead to new habits most of the time. I remember a client, they had two children around the age of 8, 10, I think. And the solution they came up to for screens, because that problem was that, at family dinner, everybody was on their screen, especially the parents. And so the children were actually complaining that the parents were too much on their screens. So the solution was that they decided that when dinner time was coming, the children were allowed to gather the parents' screens, put them in a basket, and put the phones away during the all dinner time. And the children had so much fun doing that because they were, suddenly in charge of the parents, and the parents felt a huge relief. So that was a fun solution they came up with that worked, well for them. And yes, so it could lead to, this conversation is going to lead to new habits probably. Sometimes, change dinner time maybe a little earlier, or do, you can do stretching as a family activity just after, dinner, anything. But, and yeah, if your children are old enough, it's super, after older than 6 maybe, it's super interesting to ask their opinion because they're so creative, and if it's playful, and it might help them with their sleep too.
Yeah. No, I love this. Honestly, this is the kind of super hack I got for my own motivation, because sometimes there is just not enough motivation to change our habits for the healthy side. We know everything. We know what we should do, what good it does for us, but still not enough. I don't know, could be energy, could be just, internal motivation to do this, or maybe something else we feel like more important, earning more money, or kind of, getting fame. And I'm not saying it's bad. I'm just saying that you get not enough motivation for these changes to happen. So my super hack that I found is to involve children, to, at least in your own thinking. You're saying involve them in a decision making. I think it's an excellent next step. But as a first step, think about what example you set for your children. At least this is my super hack. I ask myself, so if there is not enough motivation, I say, what if I, in the morning, the first thing I do yoga, and then I do meditation, and my daughter sees it every day. How does it impact not just me? I know it's good for me, but how does it impact her seeing that every day? And I start remembering my own childhood, what I've seen, and maybe that's not an example that I want to send for my children. With the screens, it's exactly that. If I bring my phone to the table, of course, that means that everyone can do that. And that means that they will pick it up on conscious and subconscious level, and they will bring it forward. So for me, that was at some point the super hack to boost motivation for changing my habits. And what you suggest is just an extra kind of super boost to the super hack. Not just think about your children, but involve them. They come up with things that we wouldn't think about.
Yeah, that's it. And it was funny because they went to another level then, and they said, okay, it was just not the basket, but every day of the week, one of the children was able to hide somewhere in the house the phone during dinner. So, and the little one was, putting the smartphones away in very funny places. So, and it became like a fun activity, and nobody was, complaining of not having their phone, because it was so much fun to see what the children came up with.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Perfect. Wow. No, that's such a cool example. All right. Well, you did tell some successful stories. That was on my list, and maybe maybe you have more, because I think hearing that actually, because people dread, they think that it will become, it will be painful, it will be uncomfortable. Well, instead, you just shared a story where it became actually so much more fun, and they all benefited on some unexpected levels. Maybe you have any other stories you can share from your clients?
Well, whenever you change your habits, it is painful and it is uncomfortable. First of
we
all,
have to admit, we have to
admit that, and so that's why it's important to know why you're doing it and to see the bigger picture. So yes, that being said, so many I'm trying to find one of my one of my recent client. They I'm gonna circle back, but
Sure.
if you snack in the evening, the more you snack, the less you sleep. The more you snack during the day, the less you sleep. It's a vicious cycle. So one of my clients, she was struggling with snacking. That was her issue. And the fact that she got more sleep, she realized that, she did not need to put much efforts. She reduced her snacking by a lot just by getting some sleep. So you have to see things differently sometimes. And instead of working hard on the diet, and which was very, very painful for her, I said, well, why don't you create the condition for a better sleep? And that's what we worked on. And it just magically, not magically, but reduced the snacking with, led to lost weight and better mood. And it's a cascade of positive ripples. So there are so many benefits of focusing on the quality of your sleep that it's endless, I would say. And screens is just one part of it. But admitting that nobody else needs you when you sleep, and that you deserve the sleep, that's really a first step. Because sometimes you mentioned your childhood, but maybe there were phrases that you kept hearing, and you developed some beliefs about sleep that somehow got ingrained. And like some people say, well, I'll sleep when I'm dead. Well,
my parents always said they'll get enough sleep when they retire. That was their mantra.
Exactly.
There you go.
So, so that means you have, as long as you're working, you have to do more, and you have to sleep less. Which is, that's not a good solution. I mean, if you say I'll sleep when I'm dead, well, you'd be dead soon. Or if you're not dead, you'll be sick. Because sleep is key.
And then it's not good for anyone.
So becoming aware of these phrases, like you said, because some people don't even get to retirement because of the lack of sleep. You can develop serious disease when you don't sleep enough. And if you voluntarily cut down on your sleep, it's why would you do that to yourself? I mean, this is difficult. It's really harming yourself. So, and some people do not really realize that, because it's not their fault. It's just they grew up with these ideas, and but when they realize how it affects them, it's a game changer.
No, I totally agree. And I think and again, I think these days there is enough information about importance of sleep, importance of quality of sleep. There is a lot of that, and I think it's available to everyone. So I don't believe people lack information, right? So they know, and you can go very deep into the studies and whatnot. I think that it's well, two things, I guess. One thing is that people just values, because I'm very kind of into values, personal values, and I know a lot of our decisions, whether we realize it or not, are just driven by our values hierarchy, ranking, how we're ranking. And it's just, so it's not because people are stupid, so they don't realize this benefits or this damage that they do. Well, so the twofold that I said, one is because in the values hierarchy, they just have other things over their health.
Like productivity.
Like they need to perform, they need to earn more, they need to be a better parent, they need to be a better husband or wife, they need to be spending time with their friends, they need to be available. So there's so many shoulds, the shoulds, they just prevail. So they know health is important, but there are 20 other things that they believe on, again, probably subconscious level. That's why I work with values, putting them on paper, making them conscious. And then they realize that their health is kind of at the bottom of the page. So no surprise, they don't spend time on healthy habits, on changing things. Now, this is one. And second is just we are habitual creatures, right? And we just do that. And well, actually, until they try it. Now, the second thing that I wanted to mention is, I think the reason is, until they try it and they actually feel the difference, they don't actually realize what they're missing.
Yeah,
so
and that's where having a coach is so crucial, because you have this feedback and you are accountable. First of all, you say, okay, I'm going to change that from today on. I'm going to turn my screens off at 10. And so the following day they have to, send me a text and say, okay, I did do that, or I didn't do that. And that's why, and here's how I feel. So, and the feeling they get, and this, you go back and say, oh yeah, so there's a correlation here. Each time I do not turn my screens off, I feel bad in the morning. Or each time I do not get my 7 hours of sleep, I feel bad in the morning. And it takes a while to process that, but the feedback loop we have with the client, this is so helpful. And that's where, they really make progress, and they're willing to put in the efforts, to change habits, because they realize it is so beneficial. Yeah, so I agree with you. And that's where the shift of values can appear too.
Yeah.
Because suddenly health is going to go on top of productivity. And they say, okay, well, realize that not only that, but if you sleep more, you'll do more. That which takes a while to kick in sometime for people. But
exactly.
Yes.
Yeah, exactly. It's just, people think they need to put their health and their kind of self ahead of everyone else. But what they don't realize, which is you just said, that actually by putting themselves first, they sleep, they screen, other healthy habits, their well-being overall, putting it up actually will increase. It will ultimately increase the productivity. It will ultimately increase even their relationship and their parenting, and everything else is just hard to realize on the conceptual level that it's going to happen. So that's why, again, going back to that point, it's great to try it out and see for themselves. Now, it might take them some time, and that's where I think it's cool to have a habit coach, because the habit coach can, help you to get through this initial kind of steps, and then until you see the results, and then there is no going back, because you've seen it, you felt it, you realize how different you feel if you use the screens the night before, or if you had the full kind of good quality sleep the night before. You realize, and the coach not just helping you to get through this initial stage, but also highlights, those, because your mind, our mind can play all sorts of tricks with us, and kind of we know that, and the coach is there to help you highlight the points that you want to kind of disregard or kind of forget suddenly. So I agree with you that, and maybe this is a good kind of finalizing, wrapping up our conversation, is kind of giving, I usually like to end up with some, some message, like if people sitting there thinking, yeah, I know. We need to sleep. We need to look less in our devices. But you said it, it's so hard to change our habits. And I don't know how I convince my children, my husband. So if there is someone sitting there and realizing all the benefits and why they need to do it, but they kind of still didn't do this step from thinking, from knowing to actually doing it, like what would you say? Maybe something that might inspire them to do that first step.
My no sleep, no life. You don't like this one? No, the good thing is that every situation is reversible. I mean, we did not talk about that, but maybe we should emphasize the importance of seeking medical advice. If someone has been experiencing sleep deprivation for a long period, because we need to eliminate the, a potential underlying medical condition that is participating in the sleep deprivation. But once that medical aspect is out of the picture, yeah, it's really about habits, food habits, exercise habits, your sleep environment, your beliefs, your stress management. There are so many factors involved in the quality of our sleep, but everything's reversible. I mean, someone who really wants to get back to sleep, they can go back to sleep. That's okay. I mean, so you have to be very hopeful that, and it doesn't happen overnight. I mean, it takes a few days, sometimes a few weeks. So you need patience. It's like when you're, in a jet lag situation. So, the circadian rhythm have to go back to something else. So to change them, it takes a little while, but you'll get it. You can do that. That's what we can tell people. I mean, if you're not sleeping well right now, but if you want to, it's okay. You can do it. We can help you with, modifying your habits, and we can, keep you accountable and give you the feedback to get to the point where you want to be. So.
Yeah, no, I love it, and this is called, I'm going to use the science term neuroplasticity, right? This what helps us change our behavior, however bad it is. Now, like you said, it might take longer for some people. It might take longer for some habits. The science these days actually very transparently tell us that there is no standards. This 29 days or something that our pop psychologists were saying now obviously doesn't work. So it might take longer than that, but what you're saying is totally right, that it's reversible. In our brain has this unique mechanism, and the recent discoveries actually, it's the age doesn't matter. Like before they were saying it only can happen when you're young, and then when you're old, forget about it. No, that's not true. Neuroplasticity is there for you, available. So you can change everything. I love this statement. Now, we didn't talk about so many things, but we can talk for hours about sleep because it's that important. Now, in Better Daily, we do go into science and the circadian rhythm, what it is, your internal body clock, and all those factors that you mentioned, the light, the food, what you do and what you eat, the food, the light, right, the exercise, the temperature, all these factors, and it is complex. That's why you can jump on a Better Daily and start learning about it if you're interested, and you can get habit coaching from Karine, is one of our coaches who specializes specifically in these habits in your evening routine, in your sleep, improving your sleep quality, or just the first step, which I think is a great step, like no screens after 10, for example, right? Or
Yeah,
earlier
sure.
if you go to sleep earlier. Now, all the links will be in the show notes, in the notes to this video. Yeah, and go ahead and take this opportunity. You can have the first week trial. So it's totally risk-free, but the benefits will surprise you. So thank you very much, Karine. It was interesting.
Well,
I would
thank you,
love to
Lydia.
talk more. But
We will.
and we will on this important topic. I'm sure we will.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you. Bye.